Chapter 1. The Calm Before the Storm. The bustling city of Las Vegas is the backdrop for Global Tech Expo, one of the largest tech conferences in the world. Visionary Productions, a company specializing in LED displays, video management, and online streaming for corporate events, trade shows, television, and concerts, is tasked with creating a stunning visual experience for the expo's main stage. The team, a close-knit group of talented professionals, is excited about the opportunity, but also faces the pressure of delivering a flawless production. The cavernous convention hall buzzed with activity. Hundreds of workers scurried around, setting up booths, arranging displays, and preparing for the thousands of attendees who would soon descend upon the city. In the center of the hall, a massive stage stood like a silent giant, waiting to be brought to life. This was Visionary Productions' domain. Sarah, a petite woman with fiery red hair and a sharp mind, surveyed the scene with a critical eye. As the team's lead technician, she was responsible for ensuring that every piece of equipment functioned perfectly. "All right, team, let's go over the plan one more time," she said, her voice amplified by a small microphone attached to her headset. "We'll start by installing the main LED wall. Then we'll set up the side screens and the stage lighting. After that, we'll configure the video management system and test the online streaming." Her team, a group of 4 individuals who had worked together for years, nodded in agreement. They were a well-oiled machine, each member knowing their role and executing it with precision. Mark, the video specialist, was already busy unpacking the video processors. He was a tall, lanky man with a laid-back demeanor, but when it came to his work, he was all business. "I've got the processors ready to go, Sarah," he said, his voice calm and steady. "Just let me know where you want them." "We'll put them in the control room, Mark," Sarah replied. "It's important to keep them in a cool, dry environment." Meanwhile, Emily, the lighting designer, was inspecting the stage lights. She was a creative soul with a passion for transforming spaces with light and color. "I'm thinking we should go with a combination of moving heads and LED bars," she said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "That'll give us the flexibility we need to create some really dynamic looks." "Sounds good, Emily," Sarah said. "Just make sure everything is synced with the video content." The last member of the team, David, the IT expert, was setting up the network infrastructure. He was a quiet, unassuming man, but his skills were essential to the success of the production. "The network is up and running, Sarah," he said. "We've got plenty of bandwidth for the online streaming." "Great, David," Sarah said. "Let's make sure we have a backup connection, just in case." The team worked diligently throughout the day, their movements choreographed like a ballet. They, the LED wall, configured the video management system, and tested the online streaming. Everything was going smoothly. As the sun began to set, the stage was transformed into a dazzling display of light and color. The LED wall shimmered with vibrant images, the stage lights danced and pulsed, and the online streaming was crystal clear. "We're ready to go," Sarah said, a sense of accomplishment in her voice. "Let's just hope everything goes according to plan." Her words were barely out of her mouth when the power flickered, plunging the stage into darkness. The team exchanged worried glances. "What happened?" Emily asked, her voice filled with concern. "I don't know," David replied. "I'll check the power supply." David quickly located the problem, a faulty circuit breaker. He replaced it, and the power came back on, but the incident left the team on edge. "That was close," Mark said, wiping his brow. "We can't afford any more surprises like that." "Agreed," Sarah said. "Let's double-check everything to make sure we're prepared for any eventuality." The team spent the next few hours meticulously inspecting every piece of equipment, ensuring that everything was in perfect working order. They were determined to deliver a flawless production, no matter what challenges they faced. As the clock ticked closer to showtime, the atmosphere in the convention hall grew electric. The attendees began to arrive, their excitement palpable. "It's almost time," Sarah said, her voice filled with anticipation. "Let's do this, team." The team took their positions, ready to bring the stage to life. The lights dimmed, the music swelled, and the show began. For the next few hours, the team worked seamlessly, their movements precise and coordinated. The LED wall displayed stunning visuals, the stage lights danced in perfect synchronization, and the online streaming was flawless. The audience was captivated. They cheered, they danced, they sang along. The show was a resounding success. As the final curtain fell, the team exchanged high fives and smiles. They had done it. They had delivered a spectacular production. "That was amazing," Emily said, her eyes shining with excitement. "We nailed it." "We sure did," Mark said, grinning. "We're the best team in the business." "We couldn't have done it without each other," David said, his voice filled with gratitude. "That's for sure," Sarah said. "We're a team, and we're a family." The team packed up their equipment, feeling a sense of pride and accomplishment. They had faced challenges, they had overcome obstacles, and they had emerged victorious. As they left the convention hall, they knew that they would face many more challenges in the future. But they also knew that they would face them together. They were a team, and they were a family, and they were ready for anything. But little did they know that their greatest challenge was yet to come. Chapter 2: The Seed of Suspicion. Following the success of the event, the Visionary Productions team relaxes and celebrates. But their joy is short-lived, as a small incident during the setup raises suspicions and fuels distrust among the team members. An overlooked detail may hold the key to unraveling a larger mystery. The buzz of the after-parties still echoed in the ballroom. The Visionary Productions team, gathered in a corner, toasted the success of the broadcast. "You guys were incredible," exclaimed Sarah, with a radiant smile. "That show was flawless." "We nailed it," agreed Mark, raising his glass in a toast. "Best broadcast we've ever done." "And the audience loved it," added Emily, showing off the positive feedback messages on social media. David, quieter than usual, simply smiled, satisfied with the result. The atmosphere was one of pure joy and relaxation. The team, exhausted but happy, could finally unwind and celebrate the success of their work. "Now it's time to relax and enjoy the party," said Sarah, calling the team to join the other guests. The party continued lively, with loud music, delicious food, and lots of conversation. The Visionary Productions team had fun together, celebrating another successful job. In the middle of the party, Sarah moved away from the group and went to the bar to get a drink. While waiting for her drink to be prepared, she began to think about the work and how everything had gone perfectly. Suddenly, a flash of memory struck her. She remembered a small incident that had happened during the stage setup. One of the LED cables had come loose, and she had asked David to check the connection. He had quickly resolved the issue, and she hadn't given it any more thought. But now, thinking about it more calmly, she wondered if that incident might have been something more than a simple accident. Could someone have sabotaged the cable? Sarah thought, with a pang of worry. The idea seemed absurd at first. After all, who would have a reason to sabotage the show? And why would they do it? But the more Sarah thought about it, the more the seed of suspicion began to take root. She remembered that she had noticed some strange behavior in one of the team members during the setup. Could it have been him? Sarah thought, her heart racing. She tried to push those thoughts out of her mind, but the doubt had already been planted. From that moment on, the joy of the party began to dissipate, giving way to a feeling of apprehension. Sarah decided to go back to the group and share her suspicions with the rest of the team. She knew they needed to be vigilant and investigate what had happened. "Guys, I need to talk to you about something serious," Sarah said, her voice worried. The team gathered in a more private corner, and Sarah told them about the LED cable incident and her suspicions of sabotage. "I don't want to alarm anyone," Sarah said, "but I think we need to keep an eye out." The team was silent for a moment, processing the information. "Do you think someone sabotaged the show on purpose?" Emily asked, her voice worried. "I don't know," Sarah replied, "but we can't rule out that possibility." "Who would do such a thing?" Mark asked, his voice confused. I don't know, Sarah replied, but we need to find out. David, who had been silent until then, finally spoke up. I checked all the cables before the show, David said. I'm sure everything was in order. I know, David, Sarah said, but the cable could have been tampered with after your check. David frowned, thoughtful. You're right, David said. We need to investigate. The team agreed to investigate the LED cable incident. They decided to review the security camera footage from the venue and interview the other team members. We need to find out the truth, Sarah said. We can't let this happen again. From that moment on, the atmosphere of the party changed completely. The joy gave way to tension and distrust. The Visionary Productions team was united in their search for the truth, but the shadow of doubt hung over them. Chapter 3: The Hunt for Truth. The morning after the party, the Visionary Productions team gathers at the office to investigate the LED cable incident. Sarah leads the charge, but tension and distrust linger. Security footage may hold the answer, but finding it won't be easy. The fluorescent lights of the Visionary Productions office hummed, a stark contrast to the vibrant party atmosphere of the night before. The team, faces etched with worry, huddled around a large monitor in the conference room. Sarah, ever the pragmatist, took charge. All right, let's break this down, she said, her voice crisp and professional. We need to review the security footage from the ballroom. It's our best chance of seeing what happened with that LED cable. A heavy silence hung in the air. The unspoken question, who among us could have done this, permeated the room. I'll handle the footage, David offered, his usually calm demeanor tinged with an edge of seriousness. But those cameras aren't exactly state-of-the-art. The resolution isn't great, and there are some blind spots. We know, Sarah replied, but it's all we have. Every detail counts. David settled into a chair in front of a computer, the glow of the screen illuminating his focused expression. Hours ticked by, punctuated only by the clicking of the mouse and the occasional sigh. The rest of the team watched, their anxiety growing with each passing minute. Anything? Emily asked, her voice tight with anticipation. David shook his head. It's slow going. There's hours of footage to sift through, and most of it is just people milling around. Finding the exact moment someone tampered with the cable is like finding a needle in a haystack. We don't have much time, Mark pointed out, glancing at his watch. We have another event to prep for tomorrow. We can't afford to be distracted by this. I know, Sarah said, but we can't just ignore this. If someone is deliberately sabotaging us, we need to find out who and stop them before they do it again. Just as frustration began to set in, David suddenly sat up straight. Wait a minute. I think I see something. He rewound the footage and zoomed in on a figure near the stage. The image was grainy and pixelated, but it was clear that the person was manipulating something near the base of one of the LED panels. That's it, Sarah exclaimed, leaning closer to the screen. That's got to be it. The team watched in tense silence as the figure appeared to disconnect, and then reconnect a cable. The figure then straightened up and casually walked away. Can you enhance the image? Mark asked. Can we get a better look at their face? David tried, but the image was too blurry. The figure's face remained obscured. Damn it, Emily muttered. We're so close, yet so far. Wait, Sarah said, her eyes fixed on the screen. Look at their wrist. They're wearing a production crew wristband. That narrows it down, David said. We can check the crew manifest and see who was working backstage that night. Emily volunteered to check the manifest. While she was doing that, Sarah and Mark began to speculate about possible motives. Who would want to do this? Mark wondered. We haven't made any enemies that I know of. Maybe it's not personal, Sarah suggested. Maybe it's about money. Someone could be trying to damage our reputation so they can steal our clients. Or maybe it's someone on the inside, Emily added, returning with the crew manifest. Someone who wants to see us fail. The team exchanged uneasy glances. The thought that the saboteur could be one of their own was unsettling. Emily scanned the list. Okay, let's see. There are about 20 people on the crew manifest. It's going to take a while to go through all of them. We'll split up the work, Sarah said. We'll each take a section of the list and see if we recognize anyone from the footage. They worked late into the night, comparing the names on the list to the blurry figure in the video. But no one stood out. This is a dead end, Mark said, throwing his hands up in frustration. We're back where we started. Not quite, Sarah said, her eyes still glued to the screen. There's one more thing we can try. She rewound the footage again and focused on the figure's hands. Look closely, she said. They're wearing a distinctive ring. A large silver ring with a dark stone. That's a pretty unique piece of jewelry, Emily said. If we can find someone wearing a ring like that, we'll have our saboteur. Good eye, Sarah, David said. That could be the break we need. The team felt a flicker of hope. The ring was a tangible clue, something they could use to identify the culprit. Okay, Sarah said, new plan. Tomorrow, we'll talk to everyone on the crew. We'll casually observe their hands and see if anyone is wearing a ring like the one in the video. The team agreed. It was a long shot, but it was their best chance of uncovering the truth. Chapter 4. The Ring. The Visionary Productions team puts their new plan into action, carefully observing the crew members for the distinctive ring seen in the security footage. The tension mounts as they get closer to identifying the saboteur, but the culprit may be more cunning than they anticipated. The morning dawned crisp and clear, a stark contrast to the cloud of suspicion hanging over the Visionary Productions team. They gathered in the office, a sense of nervous anticipation filling the air. Today was the day they hoped to identify the saboteur, the person who had threatened their work and shaken their trust in each other. All right, everyone knows the plan, Sarah said, her voice firm but laced with anxiety. We're going to observe the crew members as discreetly as possible. We're looking for a large, silver ring with a dark stone. If you see anyone wearing it, let me know immediately. The team nodded in agreement, each member aware of the weight of the task before them. They knew that the saboteur could be anyone, someone they had worked alongside for years, someone they might even consider a friend. The thought was unsettling, but they were determined to uncover the truth, no matter how difficult it might be. They headed to the venue where their next event was being set up, a large conference hall that would host a tech summit. The crew was already busy at work, assembling the stage, setting up the lighting, and preparing the LED displays. The Visionary Productions team joined them, their eyes scanning the crowd for the telltale ring. Sarah focused on the technicians working on the LED wall, her gaze moving from face to face, then down to their hands. She saw several rings, but none that matched the description. She felt a knot of frustration tightening in her stomach. Was the ring just a coincidence? Was the saboteur someone else entirely? Mark observed the sound engineers, his eyes lingering on their hands as they adjusted microphones and speakers. He noticed one engineer wearing a ring, but it was a small gold band, nothing like the one they were looking for. He sighed, feeling a wave of discouragement wash over him. Emily watched the lighting technicians, her attention drawn to their hands as they adjusted the lights. She spotted a ring on one technician's finger, a silver ring with a stone, but the stone was light blue, not dark. She shook her head, feeling a sense of impatience building within her. David, meanwhile, was monitoring the network setup, his eyes darting between the crew members and the monitors displaying the network status. He saw a few rings here and there, but none that fit the description. He felt a growing sense of unease. Was the saboteur playing them for fools? Were they even close to uncovering the truth? As the day wore on, the team's hopes began to dwindle. They had observed every crew member, but no one was wearing the distinctive ring. They were starting to wonder if they had been wrong about the ring, if it was just a red herring. We're running out of time, Mark said, his voice laced with concern. The event starts in a few hours. We need to focus on getting everything ready. I know, Sarah replied, but I can't shake the feeling that we're missing something. The ring has to mean something. Maybe we should review the security footage again, Emily suggested. Maybe we missed something the first time. It's worth a try, David said. But we're going to have to be quick. We don't have much time. They gathered around the monitor again, rewinding the footage and watching it in slow motion. They scrutinized every detail, every movement, every piece of jewelry. And then, Sarah saw it. A glint of silver on the figure's hand, a large silver ring with a dark stone. It was unmistakable. The ring was real, and it was the key to unlocking the mystery. There it is, Sarah exclaimed, pointing at the screen. The ring. We were right about it. The team felt a surge of adrenaline. They were so close to identifying the saboteur. But who was it? They rewound the footage again, trying to get a better look at the figure's hand. And then, they saw something else. A small tattoo on the figure's wrist, a series of numbers and symbols. A tattoo! Emily exclaimed. That's it. That's how we'll identify them. But how are we going to find someone with that tattoo? Mark asked. There are hundreds of people working at this event. We'll check the crew records, David said. Tattoos are usually documented. We'll find our saboteur. The team felt a renewed sense of hope. They had a new lead, a new clue that could finally lead them to the truth. They were determined to find the saboteur, to protect their work, and to restore their trust in each other. Chapter 5. The Tattoo. The Visionary Productions team races against time to identify the saboteur using the tattoo on their wrist. They delve into crew records and social media, hoping to find a match. The pressure mounts as the event draws closer, and they realize the saboteur might be planning something even bigger. The clock ticked relentlessly, each second bringing the tech summit closer. The Visionary Productions team, fueled by a mixture of adrenaline and anxiety, worked feverishly. The tattoo, a series of numbers and symbols, was their best lead, a tangible clue in a sea of unknowns. All right, let's divide and conquer, Sarah said, her voice echoing in the tense office. Emily, you focus on the crew records. See if anyone has a documented tattoo matching the description. On it, Emily replied, already immersed in the digital files. I'll cross-reference descriptions, any mentions of tattoos in personal files, anything that can help us narrow down the list. Mark, Sarah continued, I want you to check social media. Instagram, Facebook, even TikTok. People often post pictures of themselves working, and tattoos are sometimes visible. It's a long shot, but we need to explore every avenue. I'll dive into the digital rabbit hole, Mark said with a wry smile. You never know what you might find. David, meanwhile, was tasked with bolstering security at the event itself. I'll coordinate with the venue security, he explained. We'll increase surveillance around the stage area, especially focusing on access points and backstage areas. We need to make sure whoever this is can't get close enough to cause any more damage. Sarah nodded. Good. We need to be proactive. This isn't just about the equipment anymore. If someone is willing to sabotage us once, they might escalate. We need to consider the safety of the attendees as well. The thought hung heavy in the air. What if the saboteur's motives were more sinister than they initially thought? What if they were planning something bigger, something that could put people in danger? Emily spent hours poring over crew records, her eyes scanning countless entries. She was looking for any mention of tattoos, any distinguishing marks, anything that could connect a name to the figure in the security footage. It was a tedious process, but she knew it was crucial. Mark, on the other hand, navigated the labyrinthine world of social media. He searched for hashtags related to the event, scrolled through countless profiles, and zoomed in on photos, scrutinizing wrists and arms for the telltale tattoo. It was like searching for a single grain of sand on a vast beach. As the afternoon wore on, frustration began to creep in. Emily had found several crew members with tattoos, but none that matched the specific description. Mark's social media search had yielded nothing but blurry images and irrelevant posts. This is hopeless, Emily sighed, rubbing her tired eyes. It's like looking for a ghost. Don't give up, Sarah encouraged. We're so close. We can't afford to lose hope now. Just then, Mark suddenly sat up straight. Wait a second. I think I've got something. He turned his laptop screen towards the team. I found this photo on Instagram. It was posted by a lighting technician. Look at their wrist. The team leaned in, their hearts pounding in their chests. Visible on the technician's wrist was a tattoo, a series of numbers and symbols, identical to the one in the security footage. That's it, Sarah exclaimed. That's the tattoo. We've found our saboteur. Can you identify the technician? David asked, his voice filled with urgency. Mark checked the caption of the photo. Their name is Alex Rodriguez. They're listed as a junior lighting technician on the crew manifest. Emily quickly pulled up Alex Rodriguez's file. Here it is, she said. Alex Rodriguez. They've been working with us for about 6 months. No disciplinary record, no history of any problems. That's what's so unsettling, Sarah said. They seemed like a perfectly normal, reliable member of the team. We never suspected a thing. But why would they do this? Mark wondered. What's their motive? We don't have time for that now, David said. We need to focus on stopping them. They could be planning something for the event itself. David's right, Sarah agreed. We need to get to the venue. We need to find Alex before it's too late. The team sprang into action, their earlier frustration replaced by a renewed sense of purpose. They had identified the saboteur, but their work was far from over. They still needed to uncover Alex's motives and prevent them from causing any more harm. Chapter 6: The Confrontation. The team arrives at the tech summit, their eyes peeled for Alex Rodriguez. The tension is thick as they try to blend in with the crowd, knowing that the saboteur could be anywhere, watching their every move. The confrontation is inevitable, but will they be able to uncover the truth before it's too late? The cavernous conference hall buzzed with energy. Attendees milled about, eager to explore the latest innovations in technology. But for the Visionary Productions team, the air crackled with a different kind of electricity. The anticipation of confronting Alex Rodriguez. He's got to be here somewhere, Sarah muttered, her eyes scanning the crowd. Keep your eyes open, everyone. Remember, we're looking for the tattoo. They split up, each member taking a different section of the hall. They tried to blend in, pretending to be attendees, but their true purpose was clear in their focused expressions. Mark lingered near the stage, where Alex was likely to be working. He watched the lighting technicians adjusting the lights, his gaze drawn to their wrists. He saw several tattoos, but none that matched the description. Emily wandered through the exhibition booths, observing the attendees and the crew members. She noticed a few people with tattoos, but they were mostly small and inconspicuous. David positioned himself near the security checkpoint, monitoring the flow of people entering and exiting the backstage area. He was hoping to catch a glimpse of Alex, but so far no luck. The tension was palpable. The team knew that Alex could be anywhere, watching them, anticipating their next move. They felt like they were in a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, where the stakes were higher than ever before. As the start of the summit drew closer, the crowd grew larger, making it even more difficult to spot Alex. The team's anxiety grew with each passing minute. We're running out of time, Mark said, his voice tight with worry. The summit is about to start. If we don't find Alex soon. We can't panic, Sarah interrupted. We need to stay focused. We've come this far. We can't give up now. Just then, Emily approached the group, her face pale. I saw him, she whispered. Alex. He's backstage, near the main power supply. Are you sure it was him? David asked. Yes, Emily replied. I saw the tattoo. It's unmistakable. All right, Sarah said, her voice firm. Let's move. We need to confront him now. The team made their way backstage, their footsteps echoing in the deserted corridor. They found Alex near the power supply, fiddling with some wires. Alex, Sarah said, her voice steady but laced with warning. Alex turned around, his eyes widening in surprise. He knew he had been caught. "What are you doing here?" Sarah asked. Alex hesitated for a moment, then a smirk spread across his face. "I'm just making sure everything is running smoothly," he said. "Don't lie to us, Alex," Mark said. "We know about the sabotage. We saw the security footage. We saw the tattoo." Alex's smirk faltered. He knew he was cornered. "Okay, fine," he said. "You got me. But I had my reasons." "What reasons?" Emily asked. "I was trying to get back at the company," Alex replied. "They screwed me over. They promised me a promotion, but they gave it to someone else. I deserved that promotion." "So you decided to sabotage our events?" David asked, his voice filled with disbelief. "You put people's safety at risk because you didn't get a promotion?" "It wasn't personal," Alex said. "It was just business." "That's not how we see it," Sarah said. "What you did was wrong. And it's going to have consequences." Alex scoffed. "What are you going to do? Fire me?" "You can't prove anything." "We don't need to prove anything," Mark said. "We have the security footage. We have the tattoo. We have everything we need to go to the police." Alex's face paled. He realized he was in serious trouble. "Please," he begged. "Don't do that. I'll lose my job. I'll never work in this industry again." "You should have thought about that before you sabotaged our events," Sarah said. "You made your choice, and now you have to face the consequences." The team turned and walked away, leaving Alex standing alone in the deserted corridor. They had confronted the saboteur, and they had uncovered the truth. But their work was not yet finished. They still needed to deal with the aftermath of Alex's actions. Chapter 7: The Fallout. With Alex exposed as the saboteur, the team must now deal with the consequences of his actions. The trust within the team is shattered, and they must find a way to rebuild it while also managing the fallout with the company and their clients. The tech summit must go on, but can they pull it off while dealing with the internal and external repercussions of the sabotage? The silence in the Visionary Productions office was deafening. The team sat around the conference table, the weight of the situation pressing down on them. Alex's betrayal had left a gaping hole in their trust, and the task of picking up the pieces seemed daunting. "I can't believe he did this," Emily said, her voice barely a whisper. "He was one of us." "It's hard to accept," Mark agreed, "but we can't let this derail us. We have a summit to run." "Mark's right," Sarah said, her voice firm. "We need to focus on the task at hand. The summit must go on, and we need to make sure it's a success." "But how can we trust anyone?" David asked, his eyes filled with suspicion. "What if there's someone else who's involved?" "We can't let fear paralyze us," Sarah replied. "We need to trust each other, now more than ever. We're a team and we'll get through this together." The team nodded in agreement, but the unspoken question hung in the air. Can we really trust each other after this? They got to work, focusing on the logistics of the summit. They double-checked every piece of equipment, every connection, every detail. They were determined to prevent any further sabotage, to ensure that the event went off without a hitch. As the summit began, the team worked with a heightened sense of vigilance. They were constantly on the lookout for anything suspicious, any sign of trouble. They were like detectives, scrutinizing every detail, every interaction. The summit was a success, despite the internal turmoil. The technology worked flawlessly, the presentations were engaging, and the attendees were impressed. But for the Visionary Productions team, the success felt bittersweet. They had pulled it off, but the shadow of Alex's betrayal still lingered. After the summit, the team gathered in the office, exhausted but relieved. They had made it through, but the experience had changed them. They were more cautious, more guarded, but also more determined to protect their team and their work. "We need to talk about what happened," Sarah said, breaking the silence. "We need to address the trust issue." The team nodded in agreement. They knew that they couldn't move forward without confronting the elephant in the room. "I feel like I don't even know you guys anymore," Emily said, her voice filled with emotion. "How can we ever trust each other again?" "Trust takes time to rebuild," Mark replied. We need to be patient with ourselves and with each other. We also need to understand why Alex did what he did, David added. We need to learn from this experience, so we can prevent it from happening again. David's right, Sarah said. We need to have an honest conversation with Alex, try to understand his motives. It won't be easy, but it's necessary. They decided to visit Alex, who was being held in a detention center. The visit was tense and emotional. Alex expressed remorse for his actions, but his explanations were vague and unsatisfying. He talked about feeling overlooked and underappreciated, but his words didn't justify his actions. The team left the detention center feeling more confused than ever. They had hoped to find some closure, some understanding, but they had only found more questions. I don't know if we'll ever fully understand why he did it, Emily said. But maybe that's not what's important. What's important is that we learn from this, that we become a stronger team because of it. I agree, Mark said. We need to focus on the future, on rebuilding our trust and our team. We can't let this one person destroy what we've built together. It won't be easy, David said, but I think we can do it. We're a team, and we're a family. We'll get through this. Sarah smiled, feeling a surge of hope. They had a long road ahead of them, but they were together, and that was all that mattered. Chapter 8. The Reunion. Weeks after the Tech Summit, the Visionary Productions team has begun to heal from the wounds of betrayal. They've learned valuable lessons about trust, communication, and the importance of unity. A new project brings them together, and they realize that their shared experience has forged an even stronger bond between them. The dust had settled after the whirlwind of the Tech Summit. The Visionary Productions team had weathered the storm, but the experience had left its mark. The initial shock and hurt had subsided, replaced by a quiet understanding. They had faced a challenge, a threat from within, and they had emerged stronger, albeit changed. The office, once a place of easy camaraderie, now held a different kind of energy. It was quieter, more focused. The laughter wasn't as frequent, but the work was more deliberate, more intentional. They were rebuilding, not just their projects, but their relationships with each other. We have a new client, Sarah announced one morning, breaking the silence in the conference room. A large music festival. They want us to handle the main stage production, the LED screens, the live streaming, everything. A flicker of excitement went through the team. It was a big opportunity, a chance to prove to themselves and to the world that Visionary Productions was still a force to be reckoned with. This is exactly what we need, Mark said, a hint of his old enthusiasm returning. A chance to get back in the game, to show everyone what we're capable of. It's also a chance to show ourselves what we're capable of, Emily added, her voice thoughtful. We've been through a lot. This is a chance to prove that we can still work together, that we can still trust each other. David nodded. We've learned a lot from what happened. We've learned about communication, about vulnerability, about the importance of being honest with each other. And we've learned about forgiveness, Sarah said softly. It's not easy, but it's necessary. We can't hold on to the past. We need to move forward. The team began preparations for the music festival, their work infused with a renewed sense of purpose. They were more careful, more thorough, more communicative than ever before. They were determined to make this project a success, not just for the client, but for themselves. As they worked, they talked. They talked about what had happened, about how it had affected them, about what they had learned. They shared their fears, their doubts, their hopes. They were honest with each other, even when it was difficult. They also talked about Alex. They had learned that he had been struggling financially, that he had felt like he was being passed over for opportunities. They didn't condone his actions, but they understood the desperation that had driven him. It's a reminder that we need to be aware of each other's struggles, Emily said. We need to support each other, both professionally and personally. We're more than just colleagues, Mark added. We're a team, a family. We need to look out for each other. As the festival approached, the team felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. They were ready to put their skills to the test, but they were also aware that anything could happen. The festival was a huge success. The production was flawless, the crowd was enthusiastic, and the music was electrifying. The Visionary Productions team worked seamlessly together, their movements precise and coordinated. They were a well-oiled machine, a testament to their resilience and their commitment to each other. As the final act took the stage, the team gathered backstage, watching the performance with a sense of pride and accomplishment. They had done it. They had overcome adversity, they had rebuilt their trust, and they had delivered a spectacular production. After the festival, the team celebrated. They went out for dinner, just the four of them, and reminisced about the challenges they had faced and the lessons they had learned. "We've been through a lot," Sarah said, raising her glass in a toast. "But we've come out stronger on the other side." "We're a team," Mark said. "And we're a family." "We'll face challenges in the future," Emily added. "But we'll face them together." "And we'll overcome them," David finished. They clinked their glasses together, their faces filled with smiles. They were Visionary Productions, and they were back.